Hi and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Brooke, and over spring break I built all 10 of the LEGO F1 cars that were released from last season's car. And I've been having a great time putting them in Constructors Championship order and moving them around. As you can see, they're actually in post-Suzuka order. It's Saturday before the Bahrain Grand Prix, so I'll be moving them around tomorrow. While I was watching quality earlier today, I had this idea: what if I made a pit lane with pit boxes for these cars? So that's what we're gonna do. My plan is relatively simple. It's just to build a wooden structure with different colors inside for the different 10 teams. So obviously the pit lane is relatively complex with a lot of things going on, but I wanted to start by just building 10 garages for the 10 different teams in Constructors Championship orders from last year. My plan is to cut 2 pieces of wood to be the ceiling and the backside, and then 11 individual smaller parts to create the sides of each garage. And I want to have it done by Jeddah in 8 days for the race. So we gotta start. Obviously, I need to start with planning, and that starts with figuring out how wide and long these cars are so I can figure out how big of a garage I need to make. Then with that, I can figure out how long of the 2 back panels I want to cut out are so that I can start building and putting things together. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on that process, and then I'll come back when I'm done with that. So the length of the car is 7.5 inches. The width is 3, and then the height is 1/2. And obviously that would be the minimum dimensions you'd need to fit it inside a garage. But as we all know, F1 garages are not like boxes. They have a lot of extra room in them for the car to move and for people to get around. So I need to leave some extra space on the sides of the car. And I've been debating leaving 3/4 of an inch on the side of the car or 1 whole inch on each side of the car. And I think I've decided on 3/4 of an inch because 1 inch feels kind of big. If I was to be at 3/4 of an inch, it'd be that big. And if I was to be at 1 inch, it would be that big. And that just feels really big. But I don't want to go any smaller than 3/4 of an inch because I want the guy on the side to be able to fit on the side. So that would bring the entire total of just the width of the garage to being 3 inches plus 1/2 inch. So 4.5 inches would be the width of the garage. So the length of the car is a bit of a different story because I don't need there to be space on both sides of the car. I'm perfectly happy for the back wall to sit against the back of the car. Now, obviously in normal F1, that doesn't make sense because you want to get around the car. But for me, I'm not really doing anything back there, and I'm not going to reach back there ever. So it's going to be okay without that. So the whole problem is really just how far away from the front of the garage do I want my car? Obviously, this is a visual thing. This is something that I just prefer. So I'm looking at it, and I think I'd like to have 1.5 inches of space in front. I feel like that's a pretty normal looking distance. That would be just like that much. So with a 7.5 inch car and a 1.5 inch gap in front, that means I need a 9 inch total garage by length. So I also calculated the height of the garage completely differently than the other two. I actually based it off of how tall a real F1 car is in comparison to an F1 garage. So how I did that is by scaling it down. Now, the average F1 garage height is between 8 to 10 feet. Now, I went in and scaled each of those numbers, 8, 9, and 10, down in to see how tall that would be in relation to my car. For 10 feet, which is 120 inches, that would be 4.8 and so on inches. Now, that's about that high. That seems pretty high. I don't know, but looking at that, that just seems pretty tall for my car. So then I went in with 9 feet, which is 108 inches, and that comes out to 4.37, which is also pretty tall. So then I went on to 8 feet, which is 96 inches, or comes out to a total with the ratio of 3.891 inches. And that's about here. So it's still pretty tall, but it's the shortest of them all. I'm actually gonna tone that down to 3.75 as a height because that's just way easier to build consistently. The next part of the process is figuring out how thick my boards are, because obviously those are gonna be the walls in between, and with 11 of those, that needs to be compensated for when I start with my 2 long pieces of wood that are going to be the top and the back of my pit lane. Now, the 11 times the amount of thickness each of the boards is, plus the 45 inches of actual garage space combined together is going to be how long we need our top and back planks to be. That way we can compensate for not only just the garages, but also the walls in between the garages and we don't fall too short. So I'm gonna go out to our wood yard in our backyard and I'm going to figure out what I want to use and how wide that is, and then we're gonna come back and add that all together to start building. All right, so I figured out the wood situation. So obviously for the front and the back, I want it to have paneling. Paneling is obviously just like one big sheet, would be nice to have. We have some kinds of paneling that we could use, but I think there's a problem with each of them. This one is basically wood made out of a bunch of chips, and so it's never gonna truly be smooth to paint on. So you're always gonna see that it's wood with a bunch of chips. And the other one we have is paneling for the sides of a house. It was for our playhouse, but it has these deep grooves in them, so we can't really use that either. Now, we don't have any of this paneling that I used on the shed, and so unfortunately, we're gonna have to go to Home Depot and get some. So yeah, let's go to Home Depot. All right, we're gonna be getting 2 of these 1 inch by 10 inch, 6 feet boards. And basically how this is gonna work is on the first board, we need 9.3 inches to cover the front and the top and the back side that's gonna be coming up. So that's gonna go all the way up to here. We need 56.2 inches of that. With the remaining parts, we're going to make 4 9-inch by 3.5 inch dividers to put together. And the second one, we're going to basically split it in half and have a 3.75 inch by 52 or 56.25 inch board to be the back of the garages. And then with the remaining wood, we're going to make the other 7 9-inch by 3.25 inch dividers between the garages, and that should account for 63 inches, which is less than 72, which is the entire thing. So we'll have enough wood with just 2 boards. All right, so we figured out our 2 pieces of wood. We've got these 2 6 feet by 10 inches by 1 inches, and ours are the smoothest and straightest and have the best edges of all the ones that we went through. We went through every single one, and now it's time to check out. So I have my 2 boards here, and I'm going to draw out my markings and measurements, and then we're going to cut them up. We'll be able to start nailing it together. How we're going to put all of these pieces together. So I'm going to be using a nail gun, and then I'm going to start by using Gorilla Wood Glue to glue it on in place, and then finishing up with a nail gun to make it secure. This is a 4.5 inch wide board, which is the distance I want between my garages. So theoretically I should be able to put this in between once I've nailed this in, to make the next big of the garages, the next big, to make sure they're all equal. Hopefully that works out. I'm gonna go get the nail gun started and everything ready, and then I'll start gluing and nailing.
This beat's so fresh, I'ma go like
Day 3 of the build, and behind me I have my completely built Pitlane. It's upside down, that's why it looks like that. And today is day 1 of painting it. So my vision for it is to have the entire thing be white, with the inside of the garages being the colors of each of the teams. But to start, I'm just gonna paint it all white, and then I can color in each of the stalls when that's dry. So here's the plan. Some cardboard here, which is good, because it's gonna protect the garage floor from my white paint. This is white paint. We use a lot of white paint in this house. Not really sure our house is white, so that's probably why. I got some paintbrush. I do need to get a stirring stick. And then I'm gonna mix up the paint and start painting. We'll just start out here. Oh, that's going on well. I'm gonna speed this up. White paint. Boom. Bada boom. It looks really good in my opinion. I'm excited. I think when the whole thing's like pretty dry, I might like come back in and touch up a little bit. And I gotta figure out now colors for the insides to match the cars. But for now, we now have a painted garage. So we're going on track. I think we have 5 days until Jeddah. We can figure this out. We really can. So I'm outside of Home Depot and I just ran in to get some paint chips for all my different cars so that I can kind of test them out and then go see either if I want to buy like the small sample size of Home Depot paint for the garages, or if I want to head over to like Michael's or somewhere else and find paint that matches with these colors. I'm gonna run home before soccer practice and try to see which ones work and which ones don't. So yeah, see you at home. All right, so I think we've done a relatively good job finding color matches for 7 out of the 10. I am missing some. First, McLaren is one of the ones I'm missing. Also, the floor just fell off. But I matched it with Joyful Orange. It's not exactly the same though, but if you're looking for color, Joyful Orange. Mercedes is Paradise Landscape. Red Bull is Inked. Ferrari is First Alert. That's pretty good. Also, the glare of the lights is making it a little weird. No More Drama is my Haas match. Deep River is my Williams color. I do not have a color for Aston Martin. The ones I picked out were too dark, significantly darker than the car. I have a big dilemma about the RB. It's the same blue as Williams, but I don't want to make it white because the whole thing is white. But if I move this blue over, then the dark blue on the Williams is the same color as the Red Bull, but I can't make Red Bull yellow. So I don't really know what I'm gonna do. I might just do like a light gray or something for RB because of the bowl on the back. Alpine, obviously you gotta go with the pink. This is Heartbreaker, probably because Alpine has a heartbreaking season every year. For Sauber, matched it with Park Picnic. I need to go back, fix them for the McLaren, the Aston Martin, figure out what I wanna do with the RB. But beyond that, I'm doing pretty good. Hi, we're at Home Depot and we are looking at the second set of colors. So for the McLaren, I think we're actually gonna stick with the Joyful Orange. This is the color we had before. We were saying it was a little light, but there's not really anything, I think, brighter orange that matches. For the Aston Martin, we've picked out 5 colors, and it's been hard to color match because it's a very different color in real life than it is on the Legos. But I'm thinking this Crown Jewel might be our best bet. I'll let you know. And then for the RB, I think we decided on gray. So I have a couple of options of grays that we're gonna go try to match with like the silver bowl on the back. So that's what we've got. Hey, so we're actually back at Home Depot for like the 6th time this week. I went last night and then I'm here again. And I am going to be getting the paint finally. So I have all my paint chips here. Most recently that I haven't told you guys the color, for the RB I'm doing Shark Fin, and for the Aston Martin I'm doing Crown Jewel. Anyway, I'm going to buy the 8-ounce sample paints. I don't need that much paint, so I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna ask them. I checked online and it looks like they should have all the paints, but if they don't, I'll just order it online. But I think it'd be nice to get them now, figure out everything I need. So we're gonna go in and do that. Alright, I am back from Home Depot and I've changed into clothes I care less about. And now is the most exciting part. It is Rainbow Day, Rainbow Paint Day. So let me show you the paints I got from Home Depot. I got every single color, which is very exciting. The white, it needs some touching up. Let's just stay with that. But I'm gonna start with just doing the colors and then we can go with the white another day, another time. I'm not sure. Anyways, here's my plan. I don't want the color to be on the edges, so it's gonna be on the side. So I'm gonna use tape to kind of tape those off before I go in with very bright colors. And then I'll time lapse that and I'll come back. Alright, so I am completely ready to go now, very excited. So let's start. I'm gonna make, again, a long last of time lapse because it's gonna take a while. So let's time lapse this up. At least with painting it for now. I'm gonna let it dry, obviously, and then peel the tape off. See how I did on that? I'm actually not quite sure how I did, but we'll see. Hopefully it's okay. And then obviously go in and touch it up and whatever. But I feel like it actually looks really good. And I really tried really hard to match the color match the cars. So I think it's gonna actually look amazing. Fingers crossed. But now I'm gonna kind of clean this up and I'm almost done, which is actually crazy. Woo! Okay, so it's dry, which is kind of terrifying because I'm gonna take the paint off. And I hope I did a good job because I'm a little concerned I didn't. Yeah. Let's see how this happens. Oops. Uh-oh. I did good on some and less good on others. Ooh, that's bad. Man, I did not do well. So, unfortunately, I didn't do a particularly good job of taping, is what I'm realizing. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix this. So keep in mind, this was supposed to be a straight line. Let's talk about the plan that I've come up with to fix this. I'm gonna paint over and just leave the colors as they are and see if I can kind of fix it that way because I was already gonna have to touch up the white paint anyway. Okay, I'm gonna time lapse that. Hopefully it looks better. We're not done, as you can see down here, but I have to go do some other things. So we're gonna leave it at this and see how it goes. Because actually, I feel like the paintbrushes worked really well. And it's looking kind of good. I definitely need to touch it up. It's a lot more messy when you look close at it. But it's getting there. We're getting there. So that's a positive. I think we're gonna continue to work on this tomorrow. But that was a good day of, I think, like 4 hours of painting. So I have done my work today. Okay, so today is day 3 of painting, my second day with the rainbow colors, and I did it 4 hours yesterday. So I really would love to finish doing painting today so we can start working on the lights. I need to figure that out. So I'm gonna finish touching up the white. Now that this is dried, I can flip it so I can do the bottom part, and hopefully that looks good. And then we gotta touch up the colors and we'll be good to go, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So we are on the lights and we're almost done. Very exciting. Let's get started. Okay, so I filled in all the colors all the way. It's basically pretty much done. I just need to let it dry. That is like 6 hours of painting to achieve this. So I'm actually really glad to be done. But now I need to figure out the LED lights. I won't touch it and show you, but I want to have lights inside the stalls. So I need to figure out what I kind of want to do with that. Do I want them to be the colors of the team? That seems like a lot. I might just have them be white, like spotlights. I don't know. That's the fun part, is I'm making it all up, so I get to choose. So yeah, I'm gonna take a break because this has been very long. I'll see you in a bit. So we are back at Home Depot again, and we are here for felt pads and lights. So to start with the felt pads, we're getting these 3/4 of an inch felt pads for furniture, and we're gonna try to stick them on the bottom of the thing so it doesn't scratch the floor, because obviously wood on wood isn't gonna be good. I'm not sure these are gonna work because the width of the board is 3/4 of an inch, so hopefully it does. I think it should, but if it doesn't, then we're gonna come back and figure something else out. Then for lights, we have these, they're puck lights. They go on the top, they're battery powered, and then you can click on them. You also have a remote control. We're not getting the rainbow lights because I don't really feel like with the walls already being colored, you don't really need that much more color. So yeah, that's what we're getting. Okay, so we're back home. And we're gonna try out these felt pads that we got from Home Depot. They look like they should fit, which is promising. Also, the cars are backwards because I flipped it around. So I'm gonna try to see if this works, and if it does, I'll make a time lapse. Okay, so I finished putting the feet on, and I think it looks pretty good, and it like now slides around pretty well. So it's not gonna damage the floor. I'm now going to test the lights we got from Home Depot. I'm gonna use blue tape to just like tape them on first to make sure I like it. Hopefully I like it. Okay, time lapse time. Okay, we're gonna try it. Woo!
It's awesome.
That is my project. Yay! Started with a completed pit lane, which is very exciting. I have this little remote control, so I can control the LEDs. You do kind of have to point it at the different garages, but it works really well. I can also stick my hand in here and turn it off and on. Now, I completed this in 6 days, which is less than my target of 8 days. Today's Saturday, I completed it last night, and Jeddah is tomorrow, so I'm going to have a completed pit lane for that race, which is very exciting. Anyways, if you guys liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!